I'd say I had the cops called on me probably 75 to 100 times in my life, where the police actually have come out and harassed me based on a 911 caller and what they say. And if they're not going to research what a 911 caller's identity is and what information they actually have to come up with the assumption that there's someone suspicious and what makes them suspicious and why that is considered suspicious, or if they outright say someone is stealing something from a property, the 911 caller should be charged, because technically it's public funds and services and emergency equipment is used on the 911 caller's behalf for the public servant, which is the cop, to be aiding and abetting the 911 caller in a harassment circumstance for who they're calling the cops on. So if someone's going to call 911, unless there's actually like an incident going on, they have to make a note and have observation with facts going to explain to the police and who on the 911 center they call is, and the cop should be able to call them and ask them specific questions. And arriving onto the scene, when the cops get there, they should have observation before they approach the circumstance with the person in consideration, who is actually not a suspect at that point, but just someone that a unanimous call was made. And for the people that have the 911 caller call on them, you know, they go unanimous and they never get charged and they never get reprimanded for just their own fear or their own, you know, sense of ignorance or harassment or prejudice in wanting to call. So when they get on the scene, the policeman or policewoman should hang back and they should observe and they should use binoculars and they should figure out what the circumstance is before approaching the suspected person that they are suspicious of, which actually isn't a suspect. Because once they start pulling up on the scene and approaching that person, they're actually creating the dangerous circumstance, because they're the ones with guns and they're the ones with badges. And most likely, if it is a criminal, there's going to be something that can tell them. But if a person is sitting there not wanting to give their ID and is not running away and is not looking in a suspicious form, like if they don't have a weapon in their hand, or if they don't have a circumstance where they've broken into some place, you know, even that, some people lose their keys and they break into their own house, you know. It's a double-edged sword, but at the end of the day, they can't be violating people's rights because of a 911 caller. And technically, you know, a claim could be written and the cop could be pulled into jail, into court, along with the unanimous 911 caller and also the dispatcher. Okay, and then all that time could be wasted and more city funds and services could be wasted and time in court. So it's not just like, okay, I called 911 because I thought somebody was doing something and you're clear. You have a responsibility to do. And for my life, I've been harassed and I've been, you know, aggressively treated. I've been threatened. I've been treated with belligerence. And, you know, people get manhandled and put in cuffs for no reason other than, you know, someone called on them, and it's not right and it has to stop. And, you know, just because a cop comes in your life, yeah, it sucks that we have to say, oh, no, I'm not going to give you my ID, because you are violating someone's rights if they didn't do anything. And under the suspicion and your fear and the context of your job that you feel you have jurisdiction, assumed jurisdiction to do that, it's not right, because it's gotten out of hand, obviously, or else there wouldn't be thousands upon thousands upon thousands of videos online of cops getting out of hand. And I'm sure there's millions of complaints that never get looked at. And right now there's like literally tens of thousands of claims and officers are getting fired, you know, based on stuff that starts with a 911 call. So there has to be some kind of responsibility taken. And, you know, I don't believe in defunding the police. I don't believe in hindering investigations. But if you can't investigate yourself and pre-investigate before approaching someone, whether it's a call in or something you personally see yourself, you have no right to do that if you are a police officer, and you should be put in check. And because we don't have to just stop what we're doing and ruin our day and feel threatened, whether you like it or not. not. You can't tell us how we feel. Okay, and go through this process over and over again just to satisfy and gratify you so you could feel like, okay, yeah, we called them back and told them there was no big deal, so we got lucky this time that it wasn't a crime. But you actually were the ones committing a crime and aiding and abetting that person. So people need to start writing claims, and they need to go get the 911 calls. I have a slew. I have like probably 10 or 15, audio tapes of 911 callers calling in, and I have the transcripts with their information redacted. And it's like, I thought about writing claims, but I don't want to spend any more time in my life because so much time has been taken up by cops already, and it's aggravating. And for people that want to, counteract this by saying that we're wasting cops' times and everything, you don't understand what it's like to be like that. And it doesn't really matter how you feel, because you are not any better than us, and the police aren't any better than us unless somebody's creating a victim. And actually, as the caller, you're creating a victim because you're employing the police on your own suspicion, which is not valid. And if the cop fails to, address that and look at that circumstance and do his own or her own research, then they're actually committing a crime too. And you're actually putting them in a position to compromise their ability to contract and their own freedom and record, to be not a criminal and to have that right to carry a badge and a gun. So mind your scruples, mind your business, and worry about what your end is as far as being secure before you start calling. And police need to do the same thing, and then we can have respect and unity for each other. But a lot of these are existing on profiles, and just because you don't like somebody or you feel uncomfortable with somebody in the neighborhood or in a business at closed hours, or somebody's next door to a place that had crimes before, it doesn't give you the right. You're actually the one casting the first stone.